Good morning. Off-grid Aaron here. It is Thursday, January 27th, 2022. You know, speaking of motivation, which I wasn't, but now I am, I'd say the biggest problem for me to get motivated to do anything at all is just to begin actually doing it. I have a very serious issue with overthinking things. Some of you may be familiar with this. I get lost in this quagmire of trying to come up with and think of every possible way things could go wrong in an effort somehow to try and plan for that, or for the event of that happening and what I'm going to do in that case or whatever. And like my main thing every time starting this is, what the hell am I going to talk about? Hasn't been a problem so far. Once I get going, it's just like blah, 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 blah. It helps a lot to be walking around in nature. I think I mentioned this once before, or maybe it was in a different video, not to do with this vlog, but I used to have this girlfriend when I was in my, early 20s? Yes, early 20s. And we used to hold hands and pace back and forth in the house, and we weren't on drugs. This was before I was experimenting with anything at all. In fact, I was extremely straight edge. I, drank like a 20-year-old when I went out, but I had a very good job. This was at the height of my career, of my technological career. This is like the best I've ever done in the world to date, and could very well have stayed on that track had I not chosen to just toss it all to go wanderlusting the world of admittedly partying, but then just like mushrooms, man. Some additional guidance would have helped. That's all I can say about that. I don't think about this enough, actually, when it comes to why I am so inquisitive about the world and why it's very difficult for me to accept bullshit and why, but it's not just because of that, because I was like this to begin with. I didn't do anything at all. I was super straight edge when I got out of religion. Like, I got out of religion out of Jehovah's Witnesses because I finally had sex outside of wedlock, decided I liked it and kept doing it. At that point, I was just like, okay, I'm just really not into this Jehovah's Witness thing. And it wasn't, people often ask when I'm discussing these matters with other XJWs, a question comes up a lot in the groups on Facebook that they ask, at what point in the religion did you realize that it was bullshit? And I never had that epiphany. What happened with me is I didn't think of it in the context of bullshit. I just realized one day I just didn't believe it. Like, the promises of paradise and the threat of not getting into paradise if I did any of the things that my body naturally wanted to do anyway. It just didn't jive. I didn't. It wasn't even that it didn't jive. I just didn't care. I didn't. It's just like, I met women. They liked me. They wanted to have sex with me. I finally gave in and did it. The girl who got me to do it finally, she really had to try. She had to put some effort in. She really wanted it. Really. And I really wanted it. And I kept saying, no, I shouldn't. Oh. But it felt, she was doing things to me and touching me in places I'd never been touched before. And it felt very good. She was very good at it. Very convincing. It was a lovely day in the ocean in Florida, and I will never forget it. Such a happy, happy memory that is. It's not that like my first time was magical. It was very short, fairly awkward, but still totally enjoyable and totally like, oh my God, I'm definitely doing this again. I'm sorry. I'm just, yeah. There's no way I'm not doing this again. And that was the end of that. Stopped going. Said I made up in my mind. It's like because I didn't, I had no idea like whether what I was had been taught my whole life was true or not. I just decided it's like, well, you know what? If God doesn't like that I do this, then well, fuck me. When Armageddon comes, I'm screwed. C'est la vie. Live for the day. Carpe diem. I was influenced by movies like that. Dead Poets Society when I was younger. It was one of my most favorite movies. And a lot of the things that the ideas that they put forth in that movie really stuck with me, for better or for worse. That was when I fell in love with Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, Ode to Joy. I've loved it ever since. I haven't listened to it recently. I should listen to it again. It's just so inspiring to listen to. It's energizing. I find classical music energizing. Well, some classical music. I love classical music. I always have. It's not something, oh, I'm getting old or something like that. I've loved it since I was a kid. I played in band, I played saxophone. I'm pretty accomplished playing guitar and singing and whatever. Music used to be a very integral part of my life. I've recently only kind of let it go to the wayside because, well, there's just other things I need to focus on, really. That's all there is to it. And the fact of the matter is, the only reason I started playing, really got into guitar and begin with, was to impress women. At first I started doing it because I think in Ferncliff or something started playing. My dad always had a guitar in the house. I just one day finally decided to pick it up and start using it. We had a pretty musical family. My dad used to buy pianos all the time and fix them and sell them. He played guitar, he played drums, he was a good singer. My mom was a good singer, she played clarinet. That was the only extracurricular activity I was actually allowed to participate in school, was chorus and band. And only with the stipulation that I couldn't perform at any of the holiday events, which was pretty much most of the main events. But there were a few others, and there were competitions I was allowed to do, and it was really good. I was second chair and very nearly first chair if I'd have continued with it. I gave up saxophone because I was in 5th grade when I started, and it was very heavy, and I had to walk to school. Things might have been different if we'd lived out in the country at that time and I was taking the bus. We moved around a lot, this one little area in upstate New York. I went to every elementary school in the town, but it was always in that town of Malone. Just this little nothing kind of farm town near the Adirondack Mountains. Very pretty. It's a beautiful place to grow up. I used to go hiking a lot in places like this when I grew up, which I think is a lot why I feel so comfortable being in the woods. I guess it reminds me of home. Anywho, wasn't I talking about mushrooms? Yeah, some guidance would have been good. Oh yeah, but it does, it opens your mind to things, but my mind was already open. I think that's just why I loved it so much, psychedelics specifically. I was looking for something. Everybody else was just having fun, but I would take things, to that extreme where you leave reality with your psychedelics. I mean, I like that happy place you can get to with just a little bit. It's fun for dancing and things like that. But if you're willing to go deeper and you've got the mental fortitude for it, it takes some mental fortitude because you have to be comfortable with your body disintegrating and things like that. I'm not joking. Nor am I exaggerating. Have to be comfortable with meeting beings in other places and everything suddenly looking like a cartoon and nothing, absolutely nothing making any sense whatsoever. Um, I think more than anything, it just breaks apart your idea of reality. Your mind does things that it's like, what? The things that you see and experience that you can't, there's no way to explain the inspiration for it. You can't be like, oh, well, I saw this and did that. I mean, some things for sure, but a lot of it is just like, whoa, it takes you to places that you otherwise would not have ever imagined and don't remind you of anything that you're familiar with currently. And it feels just as real as here. And that's the part. I think that's the bit right there. Is that it feels just as real as here. Like when you're dreaming, which is another one. Yeesh. What's that all about? Oh my god. That's all I've got for today. I've got, I'm on 27. This is the 27th vlog I've done now. 27 vlogs in 27 days. Without fail. Regardless of health. Very proud of myself. Pat on the back, Aaron. AM Daily News is still working on it. I can't get fucking pictures to come up. I ought to just start writing my own articles and post that. That's easy enough. At least one. It's another thing that I overthink is writing. I can write too. I didn't just have to give verbal speeches or sermons when I was growing up. I grew up giving sermons, by the way. Like earliest memories from the age as young as 5. I was up on stage. Started out giving 5-minute talks. That is what do they call it? A theocratic ministry school? It was every Thursday night. It was basically a church night, but it specifically was geared towards teaching us how to go out and door to door and brainwash people into becoming Jehovah's Witnesses. Really what it was. A special book called Reasoning from the Scriptures, which is a book on how to brainwash people using scriptures from the Bible. It's literally got a section called repetition for emphasis. Like verbatim, repetition for emphasis. That is like the core tenet of brainwashing. It's why marketing works. You just tell people something enough times, they will eventually start thinking it on their own and that the thought is their own. We all do this. I do this. Like brainwashing isn't some crazy, tricky, only the CIA can do it because you gotta have special equipment like they do in the movies with like big loud noise and you're being bombarded with it. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff like that, but that's a whole different level. That's not just brainwashing. That's they're like tearing people down mentally and rebuilding them as completely different people. Whereas general brainwashing is just, convincing people to do stuff that they otherwise would never do. Which is most of everything that everyone does. Not everything. There's a lot of legitimate interest out there, and we're all unique in our own special way, and that creeps out regardless of the programming. People get into sports and art and music and yada yada yada, but it's all still kind of controlled and geared because only certain people make it. There's always some guy behind a desk with a bunch of money who's not really into music at all, but loves the profit. And he's the gatekeeper. Well, he was. Then the internet happened. It's been tricky since then. It's been interesting. It's really interesting. Now we're going to go to war. I said I was going to end it, right? I always say that, and then I back on. And now we're going to go to war. The March of War. Doom, 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 doom. pissed because they wouldn't even let me join. I almost wish there was like some crazy, massive global conflict and they started drafting everybody, no matter how old they were. It's like, now I want to join the military. Like, well, you're too old. Fuck you. Damn it. Oh well. It's whatever. I could still do it. Maybe. Probably. I live a harder life than most soldiers every day. Fuck off. It's a fact. I'm tough as nails. I am, actually. That's why I feel pretty fearless these days. It's like, I've faced some serious fucking shit. And lived to tell the story. Ah, ah, ah. Stories you only get to hear when you hang out with me in person. Love to tell them, but public record is forever. Now, especially now. I probably should be more careful with the things I say. But for the most part, I just don't give a fuck anymore. I've always hated it. It was one of the reasons why I had to stop being a Jehovah's Witness. One of the main reasons I had to stop. Because my whole life, it wasn't new for me, like, breaking the rules. But my idea of rule breaking was generally, chasing after girls and watching rated R movies. That was the extent of my rule breaking. Those were the horrible things that I stole a pack of gum from the grocery store when I was 5 years old. And my mother caught me. Oh yeah, I also stole one of my mother's bracelets and gave it to this girl to convince her to go out with me. Yeah, I did that. She broke up with me 3 days later and gave me the bracelet back. But at first it worked. Oh yes, but I didn't get caught for this ever. I didn't get caught for the bracelet thing either. I still to this day wonder if that's what, like, because I know how she broke up with me because her parents made her for some reason. I've always wondered what that reason was. But I don't know. She said everyone at school was making fun of her for going out with me or something. It was pretty traumatic. This was when I was 14. Anyway, she was a really sweet girl. And we had a lovely 3 days. Anyway. She was really disappointed because I was really shy. And my friends told me that she really wanted me to kiss her, and I didn't because I was really shy. And I was afraid God would see it and I'd get in trouble. No, I was mostly afraid that anybody who knew my parents would see it and I'd get in trouble. So that's the thing. I was never afraid of God. I was only ever afraid of getting caught by my parents or other people in the church. And that was my realization and why I eventually left, really. Because I was like, I don't care what they're telling me about this God fellow. Because I'd been praying to him for a long time. Like, praying was we had to pray. My parents would make sure that I prayed every night before I went to bed. Not even joking. So I prayed, and I prayed sincerely from the get-go, And I couldn't help myself when I was really young, and I used to, kind of do what boys do when they're really young a lot, because I really liked it. And I felt really bad about it, because they had special talks and special sections in books for youths in the Jehovah's Witnesses that told you it was evil to masturbate. And I really liked doing it. Oh my God, I used to get caught doing that and I get in so much trouble for it. And I used to pray to God to help me to stop. When I was a little kid, seriously, not shitting you, I made effort, I tried to abstain. I really tried, but it just wasn't taken. It's a horny little bastard I was. Horny little bastard. I had a special bear. And I used to dry hump the fuck out of that thing. Oh my God, I was a fucked up little kid. But instead of getting guidance with these sort of things, all I did was get ridiculed and punished for it. Sent to my room, had television and the ability to go outside taken away from me. Like, it's gotten spanked repeatedly, pants down, bare bottom, with a belt or a wooden spoon. Like, they beat the shit out of me when I was a kid. Fuck. And I used to pull the pants down thing because I started, as I got older, wise to the fact that if I could wear extra pairs of pants and put some padding in there, it actually didn't hurt that much or at all. So once they caught on to that, if they were really mad, they'd make sure that that wasn't an option. And I'd be like, oh man. It's terrifying for me growing up. It's terrifying. I hated school. I hated going to school. I hated it so much because it was always just horrifying balancing act of trying to fit in some way when I was absolutely not allowed to participate in anything. I couldn't even stand up and pledge allegiance with everybody. There was no going to any parties or anything that anyone did. There was a roller skating rink everyone used to go to. My parents would take us on Sundays, which is the one day that all the kids didn't go. All the cool kids went on Fridays at night, and I wasn't allowed. It used to really piss me off. I wanted to go so bad. And I was terrified, though, that anyone would find out that I was a Jehovah's Witness, and they'd think I was weird, because it was weird. It was weird to me. Really. Let's face it, I thought it was weird. And so most people I found out one day didn't even know that about me at all. And they thought I was just like stuck up or something. It was rough. I hated going to school. That's why if the pandemic would have happened when I was a kid in school, oh my God, I would be so fucking stoked out of my brain. Like, what? We have to stay home? Fuck yes. This is like the snow day that never ends. Oh my God. It would have been a miracle to me. I was like, God heard me. God really loves me. God is real. I would have believed in God. That would have totally brought me faith in the Almighty. I would have been like, holy shit, God heard my prayers. I don't have to go to school anymore. Thank you, hallelujah. God bless COVID. Guaranteed that would have been my reaction when I was a kid. Or if I was a kid now. Now it's just annoying. And it just keeps getting more annoying. And the government's pushing buttons it shouldn't push, and now the public's getting really pissed off. And they're fucked up so much now that they've got to take us to war to get us over it. Shit. I'm exhausted. How about you? Have a nice day.